Hey YouTube, how you going? Going to do another video today on the How to Prepare for World's Toughest Mudder series. It's an often overlooked area what I'm going to discuss, and that is what is the best tent to use for World's Toughest Mudder. Now I, along with a lot of other people last year, pretty much just grabbed whatever tent you had lying around the house or could pick up cheap from your local camping store. In my instance, it was just a simple dome, two-man tent, fits within the 7x7 frame quite nicely. Now, if that's all you can afford, obviously that's all you've got to go with. But I did see one or two tents there that would make a big difference. They were still within the 7x7 kind of plot of land that you get given by World's Toughest Mudder, but the main difference was that they were really tall. So they essentially allow you to stand up in that tent. Now, I know it doesn't sound like, that much of a big deal being able to stand in your tent, but let me tell you, when you're trying to put on a wetsuit in the middle of the night and it's freezing cold, I'd much rather do it inside my tent than have to step outside like I did last year. I, for example, just put a towel that had gotten dirty outside on the ground, had to stand on that so that at least my feet didn't get soaking wet again before I even went out and did another lap. And you can imagine when you've got the wetsuit to kind of, especially if it's got the zip, to put your arms in, that kind of thing, it really does help having that additional height. So if you're able and your budget allows, I definitely look for a taller tent that will allow you to stand up. Makes a big difference. Psychologically as well, just being able to stand up and get prepared inside a tent rather than kind of doing half of it and then going out. I remember last year trying to lay on my tent, struggling to pull my wetsuit on. It just really didn't work. With the tent as well, another couple of thoughts that I've had in regards to this is how important it is to be organised. If you have the chance, I would go somewhere like a Walmart or whatever and buy some plastic tubs, even if they're $5-10 and you got to throw them out afterwards because you're coming back to Australia. They're really gonna be worth it. I'd look at getting 2 or 3 tubs. You can have one with all your gear that you're going to be putting on later on in the night, whether that's a spare wetsuit, compression gear, other shoes, headlamps, all in that one spot. You can have another box for all your wet gear and muddy gear, so you can just chuck it in there as you take it off, like if you're changing shoes and gloves and whatnot, and then maybe one for your food and kind of tape and any medical supplies, that kind of thing that you might be taking along. I think that would be really beneficial, helps keep the tent a little bit more organised, allows you to have that floor space to get changed in that or to take a quick nap if that's what you want to do. Last year my tent kind of turned into a big shit fight. Essentially there was gear everywhere as I came in. It got muddy, it got wet. You take something off, you put it down, you got to watch where you're putting it because you don't want to put it on dry clothes, that kind of thing. So yeah, having those 3 containers I think would really help. I did have one where I kind of kept my food and some of my dry gear, but then I didn't really have anywhere to put my wet gear. So that kind of is something that I'd look to rectify definitely. The kind of next final point that I want to make is I know there's 1 or 2 people who go without a tent. And I understand why, because you don't want that kind of environment where you can feel like you're going to rest and that kind of thing. I would advise against that. If you're someone who doesn't want to be tempted with rest, don't take a sleeping bag, don't take a pillow, don't take any warm, tracksuit pants or changes of clothes in your tent. Maybe have a friend have them in their car and you tell them that, come Sunday morning, once you finish, they can go get them, but you don't have access to them. The reason why I would do it that way is I think that having a tent it's going to protect your gear from getting frozen. In the middle of the night, there were so many shoes and wetsuits that people had left outside in their tent and they were iced over. There's no way I would want to be putting on an icy wetsuit in the middle of the night. So at least have that tent as that kind of change room and a place to keep your gear dry and everything like that. You never know, it could even rain during one event, so if you've only got your little spot outside and it's just going to get wet, even if you put it in a plastic tub, it's probably just not ideal in my point of view. So I know it kind of sounds tough to say you don't have a tent, but I'd go with one and just skip out on the kind of sleeping bag and everything like that. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts and comments on kind of the best tent and how I'd go about it for this year's event. Hope that helps. If you have any comments, questions, leave them down below. Hit us up on my website or via Facebook. Thanks for watching. Talk soon.